What's up, Thomas?
Good morning, my friend.
Yeah, that's a nice echo.
I wonder if it's just the Clubhouse thing. I don't hear an echo now, do you? Well, now you're muted. So I can't hear you at all. I'll just keep talking to myself over here.
You're doing good. I do hear a weird echo. Hey, blah, 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 blah.
I think it's just the Clubhouse demons again.
Could be. Okay, let's meet some people. Let's talk. We got Drew. Where's Drew been, man? Drew Against the World. I was on Drew Against the World. He's got Kick Butt podcast. We got Brian Swift in the house.
Good to see you guys. Welcome.
A cast of characters, man. I'm
going to go ahead and. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm just going to go ahead and start pinging some folks in while you get us rolling there, my friend.
Got it, my friend. Okay, not the smartest guys in the room. Dr. Tachi, Brian, what's up? Drew, and Tom, of course. Good day to you all. I need a better saying than good day. Good day. Yeah. What does bid you adieu mean? I bid you adieu. Yeah, I see people like bow down and stuff like that.
Adieu is French, isn't it? I mean, I don't speak French, but I think it's a French word. Does anybody know?
Yeah. Adieu is goodbye.
Well, then, Dr. Tachi, that wouldn't make any sense if I'm bidding people adieu.
Why not? You bid them goodbye. You offer them goodbye. You give them goodbye, right? Like you're giving them a. It's the opposite of giving someone a greeting, right? You're giving them a farewell. That makes sense.
Except we're just getting here.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make sense to say it now. You're right about that.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, hey guys, me and Tom need to know about clubs and houses. I think this club is changing to a house, and it said it was like happening. I think it just happens, but does anybody know about that? Like, do I need to do something? And then I was looking
Clubhouse
at
Clubhouse has released that they are going to change over all clubs into houses. So it's nothing you have to do. They've already announced it last month that they were going to change it over, and everybody who has a club, it's going to be changed over. And if you already have one, maybe you might have two of the same thing, because I converted I made a house and I made a club for Rise and Grind, and I have two the same, so I'm going to have to get rid of one. But I don't like the disappearance of clubs, honestly.
I was looking, and there was like the thing that bugged me. I didn't see that you could replay in the house. John Jay, you know about that? Can you replay in a house? Like we're just talking about
now, and you can take the rooms into the hallway. So it's an option when you set up the rooms, and you can even set up that only admins can open rooms in a hallway. So that's a couple new features, and they just rolled out a couple weeks ago.
So you've been using them for a while. Do me and Tom need to be afraid of this, or do you think they're like, oh, it's the way to go and it's so obvious?
Well, it depends on what you do. Look, if you want more people to consume your content, then replays are a great thing. If you don't, then you certainly don't want replays active. If you want to have private conversations where it is, for example, if people can only pay to go in to become a member of your house, then I wouldn't want all my rooms to have replays. I'd only want replays active on rooms that are meant to kind of attract new customers, new clients, new members. That's what I would do. But you have that option when you set up the rooms.
Okay, we'll keep digging into that if anybody wants to steer us in the right direction more. I've been on Clubhouse. We live stream this as well. I think I've been on Clubhouse pushing maybe 2 years. Early in the pandemic, I got on Clubhouse, and I think it's a great place to network. I meet people like John and Jason and Prof T, and so I think I'm a publisher. I think it's a good place for my authors to come on and share their story. Some are more advanced in sharing their story. Some have never taken it publicly. So I think it's a good place to share your story for 30 seconds and then share it for a minute, find like minds, network and stuff like that. So I'm all in on it. I'm a believer in it. I know there's new apps and different places to go, but this is one I believe in. Okay. The other day, not the smartest guys in the room. The other day, Tom, I was watching, we were in a room, me and Brian had a room yesterday, and Ching was in, and we were talking about making videos. And she mentioned the fact that when she started making videos, it was because she was interested in something she saw. She was like, that is interesting. I need to film that. And that was like the basis of her getting into what she does today, making documentaries and things like that. So for us that are out there that have a need to share story and things like that for brand, for messaging, what do you think about this idea? I'm interested, so I pushed record.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a great lesson to be learned there, right? What that really gets to the heart of, in my mind, is that you shouldn't be, and I think this is the place where a lot of people get hung up when it comes to creating content, is they get really caught up in trying to overproduce their content, right? They get too caught up in trying to script and overproduce and think through their content in too much detail, right? They think that they have to put it together the way they imagine kind of a television show is put together, right? I'll give you like a peek behind the curtain. However you think television shows are put together, for most people, I know you have a little bit of insider knowledge, but for most people, however they think television shows are put together, they're likely wrong. Okay. So whatever you think happens behind the curtain, or whatever you think the process is, you probably don't understand it as well as you think you do, right? So stop trying to mimic a process you don't really understand, first of all. And second of all, don't overthink it. You get into a sort of paralysis by analysis situation where you're over planning, you're overproducing, and you're not actually making anything. You're not actually creating any video content, right? Because you're so caught up in what the content should be that you don't actually ever press record. Okay. And so I think the real lesson from what Ching was talking about with her experience, and the thing that got her started in creating video content, which was something that piqued her own interest, is if you find it interesting, the likelihood is someone else will too. Other people will share that interest, and you should document what you find interesting and share that interest with other people through that documentation or through that experience, by sharing that experience, right? That you should document, right, rather than produce. So whatever is going on in your life, the things you come across recently, like, Dom, you talked about before we got on this morning, before we started the room and the live stream, you mentioned that I did that vlog last year for like over 150 days straight, right? Every day for 150 days straight, I did a vlog, right? I did a video every day, and I shared it all over social media. And all I did was share what I was doing, right? I shared a little bit of my training with the world, right? Through social media, through digital platforms that I have access to. And it was very, very well received. In fact, I'm going to start doing it again as I'm about to start training for my next Ironman. I'm going to start doing it again because it was so well received. And most importantly, because a couple of people have come up to me and said they were inspired to get active because I shared the journey that I was on training for that Ironman, especially because last year, if we remember, I was training for an Ironman having just broken my collarbone. So that was about a year and 10 days ago. I had a broken collarbone. I think it was April 3rd was actually the day I had surgery. So it was a year and 9 days ago that I had a broken wing and had to go under the knife and have a plate and 7 screws put in to fix it. And people followed that journey, and they found it inspirational and informative and entertaining and whatever the case may be. But all I did was pull out a camera and talk about what I was doing. Right? It was very simple. I didn't overthink it. I never edited them. They were all just live. I recorded for about 90 seconds and then I would just post the recording, right? And it was that simple. So don't get caught up in over analyzing what the content is you should produce. Document something you find interesting, share a journey with the world, and other people who share those interests, who are interested in the journey you're on, who have thought about it, who see themselves a little bit in you. All of those things will be attracted to that content and will consume it, right? So there is value in simply pressing record and sharing what's going on in your life, right? And that's what Ching did. And look at what it's done for her. It's made a whole second career for her. So I think that's all I need to say about it.
Hey, thank you. Not the smartest guys in the room. Hey, Brian, Mr. Swift, in that room, you were talking about taking action. And so Brian had mentioned that some people have like 60 podcasts recorded and they never push play. And now I don't know, somebody might say, well, you need to have 60 recorded, but Brian took an exception to somebody that has 60 recorded. And that's funny. I have a friend who is a pretty renowned speaker, and she started a podcast like 2 years ago. She built a studio in her house. Like, I'm talking like spent big bucks to build a studio. It was like the coolest looking place. And then I don't think she's ever released one episode of a podcast yet. So Swift, what do you got to tell us about taking action, and give us your spin?
Well, I agree with Tom in terms of paralysis by analysis, and too many people are looking for the answer and or perfection, and there is no one right way, and there is no perfection. I guess I look at perfection as a journey, not so much a destination. And as long as you're making progress, right? It's about progress, not perfection. And I think that prevents a lot of people from jumping in. You see serial education people out there where, they go out and they get their bachelor's degree. Now they need their master's. Now they want to get a doctorate. And some of these people, they're just prolonging getting into life by continually educating themselves. So I'm going to get a second master's, right? At some point, you've got to jump in and you've got to make mistakes, which if you learn from them now are lessons and not mistakes, but you've got to jump in. It's just truly that simple. You can read, you can listen, but at some point you have to go for it. In many endeavors of life. I'm complete.
Hey, man. Thank you, Mr. Swift. Sometimes you just got to go for it. Step out of the comfort zone, take action. So anybody that wants to talk about taking action, going for it, here's the subjects right now. Making videos, taking action. We're talking about clubs and houses. Me and Tom need to know if we need to do something. What's the difference? Just steer us down that path. Let's see. We're talking about recording.
I want to throw one other thing in there, Dom, as we're talking about this, like paralysis by analysis and just pressing record and creating video. Dave O'Dwyer threw in the chat that he's doing a daily vlog to build his confidence on video. It's something I talked about before, right? That we've talked about in this room. Get a camera out, put yourself on camera. I actually challenged everybody to do it one time, 1 week, was to get your phone out, right? And just record something for 30 seconds, a minute. Don't post it anywhere, then play it back, right? And do that several times. Keep doing that over and over again until you get comfortable with it. So really wanted to shine a little bit of light on that. It's a great idea is to do a daily vlog to help build your confidence on video. So thanks for sharing that, Dave. Love that. And then the other thing that just popped into my head when Brian was talking was the quote from Teddy Roosevelt, and a version of it from Mark Twain, that comparison is the thief of joy, right? And Mark Twain took it a step further and said comparison is the death of joy, right? So when it comes to creating content for you, for your personal brand, for your business, right? Whether you're just sharing your journey or you're creating content for your business, remember, do not hold yourself to a standard that is unattainable or unreasonable, right? Do not compare yourself to people who are further along in the journey than you are, right? Set a bar, meet that bar, exceed that bar, raise the bar. Meet that bar, exceed that bar, raise the bar, right? But that bar should be based on a realistic interpretation of where you are in the journey of creating content and not through comparison, right? And I guarantee you, in this particular case, comparing yourself to somebody who is an expert at creating content is guaranteed to steal all the joy from making videos, right? So don't do it. Remember, the comparison is the thief of joy, and in some cases, as Mark Twain said, is the death of joy. So don't fall into that trap either. So I just wanted to throw that out to sprinkle that on the conversation, so to speak.
Let me throw one thing out. When I say jump into it, I mean definitely do your due diligence. That doesn't mean just try something new for the first time without thinking about it, without planning it, but at some point you really just have to jump in. But definitely do your due diligence. And remember, we're all different. And to Tom's point, you have to work at being the best you. So comparing yourself just really doesn't give you any forward motion if you're comparing yourself on a results scale. If you're looking at somebody else, trying to understand how they did it and why they're so good at it, that's one thing. But understand something, they made tons of mistakes and had the same self-doubt that you might have at that time. I'm complete.
Right on, man. I love this idea about confidence on video. Thanks for bringing that up, Dave. Like, yeah, we all face it, man. Like, whether it's on mic, on video, we all have that reservation, this thought, but you build it. And like our friend producer Jimmy, I'm watching her TikToks, and you guys can go check out her channel. She'll be happy we're talking about it. Like, here's somebody that a year ago didn't want to go on video, and now her TikToks are killing it. And like, you just see her light and her aura on her TikTok videos. It's so natural. It's her being her. Man, I love it. And I would go to, when you're making those videos, confidence on video. So many people out there, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to do our videos. I'm going to do this. Do 15 seconds. Once you accomplish 15 seconds, do 30. Once you do 30, do a minute, do 2 minutes, do 3 minutes. Well, the algorithm likes this more. Yeah, but you're not ready for the algorithm yet. Do 2 minutes, do 1 minute, do 30 seconds. Okay, 15. I'm doing the reels. I'm comfortable with 15. I know I can get my message across in 15 seconds. Add 30. Okay, let's say you're not comfortable being on camera. Turn the camera the other way and do a video. Do a video talking about this big building you see. Do a video talking about a bird on the side of the road, whatever it is that's on message with what you're doing. Talk about that. Turn the camera the other way. And once you get confident doing that, hey, all of a sudden you can flip that little thing that does 2 arrows, and now it's pointing back towards you. All right, let's keep this room moving. We got Dr. Tachi up next. Oh, what's up, Tom?
I was just going to say, and also, who gives a shit what the algorithm likes? Like, I'm so tired of people falling into the trap of playing to this like algorithm, this imaginary the algorithms are real, but this sort of like imagined persona that the algorithm has been granted, and playing to this algorithm. Like, who cares? Is it something that you're passionate about? And is it something that your audience is passionate about? Like, that's all that matters. Don't stop worrying about the algorithm. Just stop it. Leave it alone. Like, that should not inform the initial creative process, right? It should not inform the initial creative process, because what you will do is you will find yourself sliding down a very slippery slope towards clickbait bullshit. I promise. All right. So like, do not get caught up in worrying about what the algorithm thinks. Stop thinking about the algorithm, right? Is it something you're passionate about? Is it something your audience is passionate about? Does it serve you? Does it deliver value to your audience? Those are the questions you should be asking. The algorithm should not play into it at all, period, full stop. That's all I have to say about that.
Got it. You're on fire. Dr. Tachi, we're coming around to you. We need you to weigh in on all this. What do you think, my friend?
Good morning, everyone. So, three really quick things. With regard to the algorithm, yes, Tom, you know I will follow you into a volcano, co-signing on that. Who gives two damns about the algorithm? Forget the algorithm. Make content that resonates with you and with other people, and that's the quickest way. If you're trying to beat an algorithm or ride on an algorithm, that is the quickest way to get on a hamster wheel to content you don't want to make, because then the audience is always coming there expecting these types of videos, but that's not really what you want to do or really what you know about. You were really just trying to get views. So forget that and make the content that resonates. And the thing about the algorithm, it reminded me, have you all ever seen The Wiz? I'm sure you have. The Wiz from the 70s with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. If you remember, when they went to Oz, there was the people of Oz. Every time The Wiz, who was played by Richard Pryor, said that the color of the day changed, they all changed. The color of the day is red, and they always changed to what it was. The Wiz, Richard Pryor, was the algorithm in a sense. Anytime they say, well, the color is old, the color of the day is now gold, you change your content so that the Wiz will be pleased. And it's not a way to make content that resonates. So The Wiz, that reminded me of The Wiz. And so there's another thing I wanted to say in terms of when you're creating your videos, there needs to be a why. It kind of all figures into this. And the why has to be beyond, in my opinion, it will be good for the algorithm. Reels make money, and shorts makes money on YouTube. I'm not saying those are not reasons to do things, that it can't be a caveat, but it shouldn't be the only reason, because now let's look at Reels on Instagram. They've stopped paying creators for Reels for the time being, right? So if your goal was to chase this money from Reels, that's gone now. So why are you doing them? So there needs to be a why for creating videos. One of my colleagues, who was actually a professor of mine when I was in the grad program, one of my colleagues said that he writes, and in terms of academic writing, he writes when he gets mad about something that causes him to want to write a paper or a book or whatever. So you have to find your why, or find the impetus to make videos. For me, often when I'm doing the Be More, I started doing it because so many people had terrible video during the pandemic. And so if I'm going to talk about you, I have to help you. So it was a way of trying to help the space as well as up the level of the videos that we're all able to make in the space. So that's what I have to say about this. I relinquish the mic.
Dr. Tachi, love it. I'm going to have to go back and watch these Wiz videos now and see what the Wiz is all about, because it sounds so cool. And you laid it out with that the Wiz is actually an algorithm. That is some high level thinking. That's the kind of thing you could think. I'll wake up in the middle of the night tonight thinking about the Wiz and algorithms and start writing random stuff down, Dr. Tachi. So thanks for that. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. We do this room every Wednesday. We live stream it. We put it as many places as we can. We always appreciate everybody in here coming and adding to the conversation, asking us questions, giving us advice. We need you. You're the experts, like whether it's on podcasting or video. There's so many different experts in this room that, hey, come in and share your tips on publishing or your tips on public speaking, whatever that is. There might be somebody that sold 1 million books. There's somebody that's thinking about writing a book. There's somebody that hasn't pushed record for a podcast yet. And there's somebody that's nationally syndicated. So we appreciate you being here. Prof T, who is not chilly in Philly. I'm going to do her rhymes for her. It is not chilly in Philly because it's going to be 80 degrees. I'm on the other side of Pennsylvania. Prof T, what do you got for us today?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Yep, this is Prof T from Philly, where it's not chilly. Actually, on my way to the Atlantic City area. So, what do I got for you today? Well, I got a lot of stuff, but I'll stick to the topic. Love the topic. Talking about anything social media. I am a work in progress. And you're right. I mean, there's a verse in the Bible that says they that compare themselves among themselves are not wise. So it's very important not to get all wadded up. Oh, theirs is better. Mine's terrible. So with that said, I'll say two things. First, my three favorite women in Clubhouse are on the stage. Beautiful Julie, lovely Jess, and my gorgeous friend, Heather. Girl, we got to get together again. So that's number one. Number two, as far as doing reels and lives and things like that, I love what you said, Dom, about, you don't have to turn the camera on yourself. I learn from my students. Listen, I teach at a college and I learn from them. These kids are whizzes when it comes to the know-how, and they spend lots of hours making their own reels, and TikToks and YouTube. So I learn from them. And they have tricks with the algorithms. There is a science if you're worried about algorithms. Tom, I'm with you. I'm not worried about it. I don't think it's an issue for me. I don't look for the algorithms. I look to see what audience I can connect with. And then thirdly, as far as doing videos, I learned so much from Julie. She has taught me so many different things. In fact, you can pretty up your stuff just by going on Canva, add yourself a beginning and end. I do 2 minutes with Teresa. It's quick, it's easy. I try to do that consistently. I'm not always consistent, but I've given it like a little twist. 2 minutes with Teresa, and I'll throw out a tip on success or good mental health and wellness or entrepreneurship, anything that's relevant to my brand, to my audience. And those are the three things that I wanted to say. This is Prof T from Philly, who's on her way to Jersey. And back to you, my friends. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Prof T. I thought you were going to rhyme that Philly with Jersey somehow. So I was waiting to see how you what you did there. But thank you. We always appreciate you being around. Keep inspiring. The grid system, right? That's the name of the book, right?
Yes, the grid system. Writing a book definitely helps. I would have to encourage people, if you got a book in you, if you do have a burning in your soul to share your story, definitely align yourself with the right people for the sake of your audience and those listening. There's people on this stage that can help you. I'm a big believer in getting your story out there, but there's an art to sharing your story. Thanks.
Thanks, Prof T. Good segue. And really, in this room every week, if you're coming here for the first time or you've ever hung out here before, really at our root, we talk storytelling and messaging, and there's all these great platforms, different ways, things that you're going to be better at, things that suit your personality, that suit your brand, suit your message. And we try to analyze each of those things. Hey, maybe this person should be doing video. Maybe they should be doing podcasts. Maybe they should be painting pictures. Maybe they should be singing songs. Who knows? But we thought maybe they should be on the new app Clapper. Maybe they should have their own Clubhouse room. So we dig into all those things, man. Hey, Jason, what's going on, man? I think Jason's out in California most of the time. Jason, what do you got for us today?
I really can't add too much from what's already been said, but I just don't really let fear of my own mind trying to anticipate what people will do or think to criticize me. And I think I started asking myself when I first got into podcasting, why am I criticizing or comparing? I don't know how to do a lot of this stuff. So it's better for me just to go after it. And, I didn't really take any due diligence when I first got started. Some people believe that, some people believe in going out of plan. But I do think that when you don't know what to do, just try. And then when you go and do it, see how you felt, go listen to yourself and see what you enjoy, not what you don't like. I think that's the biggest thing about all this. You cannot go and look at what you don't like about yourself, because if you're doing that, then you need to take a self-assessment test and realize, why did you make up all these critical things? Is it coming from your past? Is it coming because you're not a very good outwardly speaker of your own natural voice? I mean, building confidence and consistency takes time. And to me, it's like, if you're afraid, rip it off like a band-aid. So what if it's attached to a few hairs? It might hurt, but you'll get over it. So once you get in the rhythm of making, and then just put it out there, people resonate more with the raw than they do with the over polished. And you brought up Clapper, and that's a proof in point. I just started my experience over there, and I'm dual purposing. I'm on here and there, and people don't really care if it's polished. I think most of the things over there it's all raw. So work with what's natural first, and then as you do it and get more into it, then you start shaping it and saying, okay, well, you know what, maybe this would go a little better. But don't suffer more in your mind than reality, because most people are not going to tell you you're horrible. But don't over rely on your friends either. Your best asset in podcasting and content creation is strangers, complete strangers. So get comfortable with strangers. They're not going to know everything about you, and they're not going to say everything about you. And I'll just stop there.
Thank you, Jason. A lot of times when I try to create content all the time, make videos, stuff like that, document stuff. A lot of times I'll get from my buddies, they'll send messages. It'll be like my face popping out of a hole, and they're like, look at this idiot again, or, if they'll screenshot and zoom in on like my face, and add a chin or something like that. I mean, that's the reality. You put yourself out there like that. But each of us has a message to share, an important message. And so that's one of the things why I value the 15-second, the 30-second message so much. The post, the content, you writing your post. As you share your message, you are becoming vulnerable. So when you put yourself out there, it hurts sometimes when you did this video and somebody says, oh, why'd you play that music so loud in the background? That was dumb. And you're like, oh man, I thought this was a good message. And somebody hates the message. Somebody hates the music. Somebody hates this. But you learn. And the next time, okay, you turn that music down, or you don't use music, or you realize in the background somebody was doing something weird and putting bunny ears on you or something like that. All those things. But you get out there, you share that message. And then all of a sudden you become more comfortable sharing the message. The message becomes clearer. The message becomes more precise, more concise, and more people are able to receive it. But you are always going to have idiots. You are always going to have family and friends. You're always going to have people messing with you, like Jason says. So don't worry about those people that send you a picture. Groundhog's Day. Here's Dom again. Here's this idiot. Yeah, I get them all, man. And then my kids get them at school sometimes. Hey, you Mr. Motivation Champ. Here's Dad. Here's this. Here's this. I'm like, hey, it doesn't faze me. I'm when they get abused by it. Okay. And then I find out that all of a sudden they're watching videos or liking a post, and here's a kid that made fun of my kid, and then they're sending a message, a private message 2 months later about something that's going on in their life. Hey man, you get out, you share your message and put yourself out there. The vulnerability, the authenticity, people want to see it. Not the smartest guys in the room. We're heading to our friend John, who could be the smartest radio guy ever, not just in the room. John, man, what do you got? Tips for sharing your story? Go on, my friend.
That is one of the most funniest things I've ever heard people say, Dominick. So I know some people are really, really good at what they do, and some people who are brilliant, but they've not accomplished anything. So I just got news that I added my 103rd affiliate radio station across the United States. We're now broadcasting at 35.4 million combined U.S. population. Then episodes go on as a podcast.
Let's clap.
Something
Hold
you
on.
said
You need John. You've been so supportive of so many of us. We need to give John a clap up here. Let's give him. Let's give my friend my clap. Yeah, there you go, man. We do appreciate you. Go on, man. Go on. We're glad to see this ascension, well-deserved ascension. Go on.
Well, and Tom, it's work. So here's the deal. If you don't start, you'll never get started. And if you get lost in the analysis, the paralysis of analysis, especially comparing yourself to other people, they're on a different page of their journey, a totally different level of their career, you'll never get started. So you got to start somewhere. And here's what I tell people all the time. I'm sure Babe Ruth really sucked when he first picked up a baseball bat. Same with Hank Aaron and some other people. You name the field. The best people we know of, the best performers, started horribly. You got to start. So whether it be video, audio only, or combination of both, memes, whatever it is you do, get started. And it's the only way you'll get better at what you do. So we could talk about all sorts of things. However, if people get stuck with the mental masturbation of analyzing everything and never pulling the trigger, they'll never, ever find out what they can do. So get started, please. Thank you.
John, you're killing it, man. And what a book title. You should take it right now. Mental masturbation. And I wonder, I don't even, you could just cover any subject you wanted. And man, I think people would buy it. He doesn't want it. All right.
I can't take credit for that term. That actually came from a 12-step program I go to. So it's a great term, though. It applies to a lot of things.
I wonder if there is a book by that name. Okay. Thank you, John. We appreciate you. And for anybody, just get started. John, how long have you been in from first syndicate to 100? How long did that take?
Well, my very first episode of my podcast was March 21st of 2017. Now, granted, I've been in radio a long time, and I've been using what I learned from that from the teachers I had. Within a couple months, a radio station heard an episode being posted organically on my partner's big Facebook page, reached out, and then a radio version began when they said, hey, can you create a radio version? Then we self-syndicated. Then we got our first syndicator probably about October, or let's say summer of 2018. And we're in a second syndicator. So it's been since about 2018 we had a syndicator. And the growth has been gain one, lose one, gain four. So you take one step forward, two steps back, and it's always moving forward. And it's again, the long story short, it started March of 2017. And what I hear now compared to what I did then, it's a totally different product.
All right, my friend. Okay, I got to ask a weird question for you. Now, with all this money rolling in, is there ever a point where you're like, I'm going to buy myself something when I hit it? And that could be a new basketball. It could be a door for the back of your house. It could be a collar for your dog. Is there one day when you were like, I'm buying this next time I get
Our goals are very simple. The first goal we have right now is hiring a salesperson. Someone to do sales and handle sales of all the advertising stuff. So we give up percentage of profits, but that'll allow me to focus more on content, which produces income. The goals for me and my wife are very simple. We want to buy our last time buyer's house. We know what it's going to look like. We know what we want. And we want to be able to travel and go spend 3 months in Ireland and then come back home. Then spend 3 months in Maine for the next year or whatever. That's what we want to do. We want to have the flexibility in our lives where we can have a lot of things. But the short answer is the house first, travel second.
Okay, man. I'm in. Good luck to you. House first, travel second. Got it. I'd like to go. I want to go to Rome someday. I've never been to Rome. I've never been overseas. I have this idea when my daughter goes to college, the day she goes, we're dropping her off at college someday. It's about 5-6 years from now. Dropping her off in college, and me and my wife are going to Rome. So maybe in the meantime, I can make enough money to pay for it. Okay, this is not the smartest guys in the room. We have this room every Wednesday. We talk about a multitude of things. We're usually on for a couple hours. Today, Tom, Yeah, I should have asked him if he wants to reset. We're about to go to Eric, but should we reset? Tell us. Let's quiz Tom. How many subjects can you nail that we talked about today? I wish somebody had a clock. Go on.
Sure, let's reset. So this is not the smartest guys in the room. We are here every Wednesday starting at 9:30 a.m. We host the room on Clubhouse, but we live stream all over the internet. So we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, we're on Twitch, we're on LinkedIn, right? You can find us on all those platforms all the time. The show lives there permanently, and you can always grab the replay on Clubhouse as well. We talked about a bunch of things today, but primarily we've talked about the conversation that seems to have the most legs is how to get started creating video content, how to create content, what should be the impetus behind the content that you develop and create, right? That's the thing that we started talking about early on with a conversation that started between Brian and myself, and has continued now. And our friend and syndicated radio host, John, just weighed in on from his perspective. We've got some stuff in the chat about creating vlogs, and Dave O'Dwyer echoing a sentiment that I use in this space quite often, which is be relentlessly authentic, saying be authentic to you, and that you can't be everyone to everybody, so be something to somebody. Yeah, so I think it's incredibly important to not compare yourself, right? As we talked about before, comparison's the thief of joy, or the death of joy, as Mark Twain liked to say. And don't overanalyze, right? Like, press record, get started somehow. You don't even have to share the stuff you create to begin with, right? You just have to start making, and then once you get comfortable with it, you can start sharing it. But I mean, that's kind of briefly what the summation of kind of the tenor of the conversation thus far, in talking about the sort of content we create. And one last thing I just want to add on, that I talked about, and Dr. Tachi echoed with a really good allegory talking about the whiz, and that is that you should not chase the algorithm, because it is a hamster wheel that will only put you on a path towards creating content that you don't want to create, right? So don't chase the algorithm. Yeah, I don't know. How's that, Dom? How'd I do?
You did pretty well. That was an impressive. He's got a strong memory, and he's paying attention. Sometimes I look over, we're live streaming, I look at Tom, and he's like eating a banana or writing something down. So
hey, I gotta fuel, man. I already ran 5 miles today. I gotta fuel.
Impressive. All right, let's meet somebody else that's impressive. Our friend Eric. I was in one of his rooms the other day, and he was talking about zombies, and just that's what I needed. It was a morning talk about zombies, and he was relating it to business and life, and so I was all in. Eric, what do you got for us today? Ask a question, share a tip, talk about zombies, whatever you got.
Goodness. Well done. It's great to see you again. And I've been enjoying the conversation. I'm glad I saw the alert and popped in. I'm a leadership and financial coach, have a coaching business and financial services agency. When we were talking about zombies, I was just inspired by The Last of Us. And it was just so real and visceral and emotional how that show was produced. And I always think of things in the lens of leadership. And I love the conversation today about taking action. I'm driving. I'm on the way to our local YMCA here where I live in Phoenix, Arizona, in Cave Creek. If anybody's familiar, it's an old Western biker town. And up in this area, there's this YMCA, and I love kids and leadership. And so I got involved on the advisory board, and we have that advisory board meeting this morning, and then we had our youth development committee meeting on Monday. The reason I share that is because we were talking about action, and so getting out of zombie land and actually, being intentional and taking action and making wise choices and leading in our communities, whatever that looks like for each of us. But in the realm of not over analyzing and getting into action and not overthinking and not going through the mental masturbation. And whoever's writing the book, that'd be definitely interesting to see. But in terms of how, what I wanted to drop in was how, because I think how has gotten such a bad press lately. There's so many books and people who talk about, like, that's not the question. You want to ask why, you want to ask this or that or the other. But I love the question how, and I want to relate it back to why I brought up the YMCA. So I'm in the youth development committee and meeting, and there's a local community outside of our county. It's just the other side of Phoenix in another county. And it's an underprivileged area. And get this, we're in the United States in 2023, right? And there's a high school, or not a high school, there is a community in this area just the other side of our county in Phoenix. And their school system goes K through 8, and there's no high school. And then what makes it worse is you have an economy and a community that's diminishing, that's declining. And so the kids that could have an opportunity for other things typically don't. There's other financial issues and economic and employment issues at stake. And the tough part about this is there's no internet coverage up here. So the question how, and getting into action, the question how is, to me, we brainstorm and find the best actions when we ask how. And what I did on the board, just as an example, is just be abundance minded and solution oriented. And I'll land the plane here and get some thoughts and some feedback. When we ask how, all of a sudden I can say, how can we connect with the community? How can we serve or bring resources? And then by asking those questions and attending, the networking and community events through the chamber or through policymakers and educators and other things, by being active in the community and getting to know people and connect with people where that's their wheelhouse, right? Even as a leadership coach or a financial services provider, that's not where I live all day long in policy and grants and all of that stuff. But I can ask how I can make those connections and how can I introduce those people. And through that, we've been able to get the ball rolling and get the creative juices flowing and get some actual practical steps and grants and which departments and which connections and which nonprofits and which for-profits can start to make a difference and become aware that this is an actual issue, that we have a community where kids can't go to high school and they don't have internet to find an education otherwise, and they're missing out on their future opportunities as young adults and future citizens. So my name's Eric, and I thank you for this time.
Eric, thank you, brother. Keep up the good work out there. That idea of how, I think of that in like, what could I do today? Whether it's you making an impact on your community or videos or, okay, how do I get started? What can I do today? Not everything costs $10 million or needs to have a 2-year plan, or even if you do have a 2-year plan, well, what and how can I do today? I could start Googling something. I could turn the camera on. Like Tom says, I could record. Every one of us could record a 30-second video today and not air it, and put it in our phone. No matter how afraid you are, you could do that 30-second video. And how much doubt, I don't necessarily call it how much reservation. I don't want to say fear. Everybody lives in this fear, you're afraid. No, I'm not ready yet. I haven't figured it all out. I'm not afraid. I'm processing. So what could you do today? Go on, Tom.
I was going to say, and I think there's a specific how question that I would encourage people to ask themselves, right? And that is, how can I add value to my community, my neighborhood, my local government, my local organizations, nonprofits, the world writ large? How can I add value? Right? That's the how question. that I think we should all be asking ourselves on a regular basis, on a daily basis. How can I add value? What can I do that will create value for my community, that will improve the lives of others, right? How can I create value? That's the question. How can I add value? How can I lead with value? That's the question that we should all be asking ourselves. That's the how question in my mind. I just wanted to share that.
Tom, you got fires and thumbs up and hearts on fire. So keep us rolling. The next one is Joyce, but you just grabbed the bull by the horns. Go on.
Well, I just think it's something that is sort of core to my work, my philosophy, how I approach things. I think I've said this before, but a number of months back, I kind of embraced this philosophy so strongly that I actually, this may not seem like a big thing, but it is a something that reminds me to approach the world with this mindset, or through this lens, or look at the world through this lens multiple times every day. And that is that I actually changed my email signature a number of months back. I changed my email signature. So my email signature simply reads, "Here to help, Tom," right? So instead of best or best wishes or all the best or kind regards or any of the sort of normal, regular sort of email signature sign-offs, mine says "Here to help." And I did that for two reasons. One, because I say to people all the time that I want them to think of me as a resource, and I want them to reach out, right? Bounce ideas off of me, get feedback from me, use me like the resource that I am with the 22 years of experience I have in production, right? Use me like a resource, ask the questions. I love talking about what I do because I love what I do. So I'm always happy to have those conversations and help in that way. And the other reason I did it was to remind myself that with every email I send, with every communication that comes from my computer, that the intention behind that communication is that I want to help. I want to add value, right? I want to lead with value. So it's a little thing that I did in my life that has changed the way I approach other people and the way I communicate with other people, and the intention with that communication takes place. And so I would encourage other folks to look for ways to do that themselves, but to ask that how question, ask that question every day in their interactions. How can I create value or add value to my community? Right. And so we know how Joyce is doing that through her cannabis business and through her advocacy for cannabis products. So Joyce, what do you think? How do you ask that question? How does that question apply to the work that you do on a daily basis?
Good morning. I'm actually feeling a little sad and tired today because my son was home for the weekend and he left yesterday, and he's 24, but every time he leaves, it's still sad. So I'm just looking for a little inspiration. I add value all the time. I've been adding value for many, many years. I ran for a political position back in 2013, and my tagline was adding value. So that's my mantra forever. I'm not afraid of doing videos anymore. I started doing them this year, and I am putting my face out there, even though my mission is to elevate the stories of the women who are building this industry. But I know it's a little bit of a game of getting people interested in who I am to listen to these stories. So I'm trying to balance that out. And I don't know, I don't have much to say this point, I guess. But yeah, thank you for the inspiration. I'm doing what I'm doing and just kind of moving forward every day. And some days I don't feel like I'm adding any value. Like today I'm feeling a little down, but I know I am in my heart. So that's it. I'm complete.
Thanks, Joyce. I would argue that just sharing honestly like that, right? Being authentic in that way does create value. And it gives, one of the kind of surprising side effects of doing that, I've found, is that it gives other people the permission structure they need to do that themselves, right? People are often very afraid of how they're portrayed online and the content they create, et cetera, et cetera. And if you show as a creator, if you show them some vulnerability, if you demonstrate to other people that it's okay to be vulnerable, to be yourself, to be honest, and to say, you know what, I'm feeling a little bit down today. It's a hard day. My son was home and he left, and that always makes you a little sad, and that's okay, right? But it's I actually think that sharing that, right, and that level of honesty and transparency and authenticity is a good way to add value. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. Julie is up next. Our good friend Julie Loken. Julie, how are you adding value? What you got going on?
Well, I always like to think that every relationship I come in contact with, we have value to each other. And, like a lot of this conversation is just so powerful and strong. And just to determine, okay, so if you're adding value, let's use Tom as an example. Tom is adding value to everything he does. I mean, I know Tom gives his heart and soul. He helps people out just because that's the kind of person he is. But how do we disseminate this value on a massive scale? How are we getting our voices, our stories disseminated into different audiences and different venues? Because what I know, at least in my experience, and I'd love to hear your feedback, and my experience, monetizing your value. And I think that sounds maybe a little bit shady, but I think that's what we all want to do as entrepreneurs and creatives. How are we monetizing our value on a bigger scale than just doing the same thing over and over and over again, doing amazing things, but then it's not really, I don't even want to use the word viral, but it's not hitting the right audience and the right demographic. And I'm not just talking social media, but I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
So I think I appreciate that, Julie. I think that from my perspective, I think that you have to start with like, so let's take a project I'm working on right now, right? I'm working with an organization to create a sort of documentary series on a big event that they put on every year, right? So we're going in, this is just a little over a week away, about 10 days away. We're going in with three camera crews, 3 producers. We're going to film this big event. There'll be hundreds of people there. We're going to film this 3-day event and create a documentary series out of this event. And right now, we have no specific plan to generate revenue from that investment, right? So it is not, the goal is to create the series to raise awareness, right? To give people a fuller understanding of what the work that they are doing at this event and what the impact that it has on the world around us. And the impact is big. So the goal is to raise awareness around the impact and that this event creates, and to sort of help this event replicate, right, around the world and drive interest for these events. Ultimately, that will create opportunity to monetize this event, right, or to monetize this content, right, and to further monetize these events, right? But at the end of the day, like, that's not the goal for what we're doing. The goal is to raise awareness. The goal is to tell the story. The goal is to share this impact with a broader community, right? To make people more aware of how this one event impacts millions of lives around the world, right? And then there will be opportunities to monetize it. So I think the reason I'm saying that is because I think we have to not put the cart before the horse, right? I think it's important, and it sounds very counterintuitive, but often you figure out, like, what the right way to approach things in my mind is figuring out what the problem is, right? And in this case, the problem is a lack of awareness of what this event is, what this organization does, and the impact that they have. So that's the problem that we're working to solve. And in solving that problem, we will create opportunity, but we can't go after the opportunity if we haven't solved the problem yet, right? And I think that's what a lot of folks do is they try to figure out how to monetize before they've actually created anything worth monetizing, right? So you have to do the creation first and then figure out how to monetize that later, but you have to lead with that creation of value that will then drive monetization down the line, right? So I'll just say that one more time, really short and simple. Lead with the creation of value, and that will create opportunity for monetization down the line. I hope that
I
helps.
love that. Like I'm watching you on LinkedIn. Like I feel like you're talking to me right now. You're pointing your finger, telling me, and it was so insightful. And absolutely. And I think people do get lost in that. They just go straight to like, I want to monetize. I want to monetize. I want to monetize. And I know what you're doing is almost, I don't want to say altruistic, but it seems like, hi, I'm waving to Dom right now. He doesn't see me now. I want to, I totally lost my train of thought by Dom waving on LinkedIn Live. But the whole point is getting that message out and disseminating it to huger audiences because you are adding so much value. And this is just what I want. This is what I just want to throw out to you, Tom. Like I would love to write a press release on this project for you, just to add new audiences, get the press that you deserve, you truly deserve. So, I'm always about thinking outside the box, and I know Dom knows this. I'm one that takes risks, not always calculated risks, but when you have such a powerful message like that, it's so important to think differently about your audiences and not just on social media, but in every aspect. Because I know when you speak in front of people, you have them that close and intimate in your ecosystem. That is truly where you're going to get those lifelong followers, if you will, air quotes followers. So thanks, everybody. Let me know, Tom. We can talk later.
Absolutely, Julie. I appreciate that. And we will definitely have a conversation offline. Thanks so much.
Wouldn't it be cool if there was an event somewhere and we could get Tom to come out to it, Julie? If we could create an event, get Tom to come.
Dom, let's tell Tom all about it.
Yeah, I think we got to do that one of these days. Okay, that's we are.
Come to Philly. Come to Philly.
Hey, maybe we'll go city by city. Keep on rolling. So let's continue. Not the smartest guys in the room. Dave mentioned courage on video before. We got Dave, then Amanda. We'll keep Alexandra, Heather. Hey, Leslie, Dorothy, Satva. What's going on? As soon as I say somebody's name, they fall off. They're like, hey, we don't want to talk to you anymore. So Jamie, how you been? Dave, courage on video. Drop in, man. What do you got for us?
Yeah, no, I've been really enjoying the conversation so far, and kind of now grateful that my gig to go around a town in Dublin and paint it red for a promotion thing fell through, so I could be here. Especially when talking about kind of video and like the daily, learning how to kind of do that daily video. For me, I built a part of my morning routine, and I do one take. I don't do multiple takes. I do one take. I read from the Daily Stoic, because I was doing that anyway, taking something I already did, and I just did it as a practice to get it going, just to build the muscle, right? Like with anything, with any, it's when you were a baby, you didn't know how to walk, so you crawled, and then you learned how to walk, and you started to build up and build up and build up, and then you can run marathons and you can do more, right? I think that's with any kind of skill set, is you can, like, it's at the beginning you're gonna suck, right? Like I think you just have to recognize anytime you start something new, you're probably going to be bad at it, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? Like as John was saying, he was starting back in 2017 with this podcast, and it's gotten to 2023. Like I think we get caught up with this idea that everything has to be, oh, I'm going to blow up in 90 days, or it's going to take 6 months or a year, and then everything's gonna like blow up and be good. Like, no, it takes a long, long time. Like, I was a chef for 20 years, and it took me a long time to learn how to mastering the cut of an onion, right? Like, a simple thing, but it's that constant practice and that constant building that muscle, building that routine, building it into it, like habit stacking it in so that you actually get it out there. Especially when it's something as scary as going on video or trying something new. Trying something new is scary because you don't know. It's an unknown. And then I know you guys were mentioning about the how, and I've always kind of defined how like this: honesty, openness, and willingness. How am I going to accomplish something? If I'm honest with myself of where I'm at, open to change, open to ideas, and then willing to execute on those ideas. For me, that has been a powerful tool of recognizing how I'm going to make a video. All right, you know what? Pull out the phone, throw it out there, see what happens. And I've been doing this YouTube video, one video a day, first thing in the morning. Get up at like 5:30 in the morning. It's become a routine. I hit the monetization marks. I had maybe 10 subscribers, and now I've got like the 1,000 plus, and I got the watch hours and everything else needed. The monetization part is great. I mean, I made $1.37 so far, but that's not the point of it, right? Like, as Tom was saying just there, it was the goal of getting out that message of what I want to do and putting it out there, of wanting to be a coach, wanting to help men get out that kind of that ancient wisdom of stoicism out there, and then start working on my own little things. I started to learn how to add in like the end screens and how to put things into playlists, and I became more curious about it, and then the more I invested, the more I wanted to put more and more into it, finding that kind of joy. I stopped looking things also as from like a win-lose scenario, and versus to more of like, what did I learn from this scenario? So what did I learn from this? Not did I fail, because fail is just a first attempt in learning anyway, but like, what could I learn from this thing? Like, I know I have videos on there that my hair is all standing up because I didn't brush it before. And when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, my hair's messed up. But I also know this first, 100 videos or so, 10 people are watching them. It doesn't matter. They weren't for them. They were for me. And yet I was able to build like a few people in the comments, and more people started to subscribe. And it was a slow build. And it's, like I said before, it's a marathon. Recognizing that it's a marathon of life takes time. It's not this instantaneous, going to get done right away. It's going to be something that's going to take, it's going to take energy, and it takes that little bit of time to kind of work through it. And then my little tagline that I, at the end of all my emails and end of my videos that I use is, have a great, if not better, day. My uncle told me that when I was like maybe 10 or 13. And it's been one of those things that stuck with me, because whatever it is, you can have a great, and it can, if not, it can be better. That is all I got. Love you guys. And I know John kicked off there, but like, I live in Dublin, Ireland. So if you guys are ever in Ireland, feel free to come on over and I'll give you guys a tour. With that, I am complete.
Hey, Dave, we might take you up on that offer. And I want to just, so many gems there, but one thing that as he's saying, I wanted to just touch on. He's in Dublin, Ireland. I've never seen Dublin, Ireland in my life. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I would love to see Dublin. Meaning, I would love to see in your content Dublin. Think of all the uniqueness. I think there might be 8 billion people on the planet now. We're all from different places, deserts, cities, forest, Dublin. I mean, what a unique thing that you can add where you're from to the videos. I mean, you could be in front of any building in Ireland doing your same message. All of us, we are undervaluing the uniqueness that Tom, the forest. One time me and Tom were on a call, and he was sitting out on his back porch, and there's like 1,000 acres of woods behind him, and like we're hearing like birds chirp that I've never heard chirp in my life. Like, it's unique. So don't undervalue that uniqueness. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on is the monetizing, where you made the dollar. That's goddamn brilliant. And I say it like that because the other day, about 2 months ago, I made on Amazon affiliates, on links that I was already sharing. Part of my daily job, I figured out Amazon affiliates, and I made 30 cents. And I make 30 cents a lot of ways. I do all right, but that 30 cents I was so proud of because I figured it out and it paid for the first time and it was something. Then all of a sudden I see a little thing that says earnings there. It said $10 and it said $20. I think I'm up to 27 now, but it was something that you did, like Dave. You build, you believe in it, and you do it. Now all of a sudden he is seeing results in so many ways. So stay the course, my friend. Great stuff all around, man. And hey, just going back to this, the uniqueness of your jobs, like people that are doing video, like I'd love to see the cameras where Tom sets up. Now I know you guys in studio are always, you hate phones around and things like that. Like they take people's phones away, and a lot of times on sets, you have to put them in a box, can't even take them. But anyway, there's so much uniqueness out there of things that each of you are doing. I'd love to see what Joyce has going on, what Brian has going on, man. Show us that stuff. So interesting. Like, I mean, I'm a Pittsburgher. We got rivers, we got cities, we got Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I don't, that's what you'll see something different with me. Go on.
You got
Tom.
sandwiches with French fries on them.
Yeah, sandwiches with French fries. We got it all, man. We got people that say yins. Okay, Amanda, what do we got going on with Amanda? Amanda Fetch, Harvard, 20 years analytics. We've talked to Amanda before. Amanda, where do you weigh in on all this? Give us some tips or ask a question.
Yeah, thank you so much. And by the way, I think I've said this in here before, but I am a Pittsburgher also at heart, but I've been in New York City 20 years now. Yeah, so wanted to just put that out there. But yeah, so I wanted to say something from the perspective of somebody who was trying to dabble in TikTok and videos, but from the data science, machine learning, AI, dry coder perspective, right? And believe it or not, there are some of us on TikTok that do this, right? I've met some really cool people on TikTok who have the same interests. So a few things I wanted to touch on high level here. So the first one is to put that out there. Okay, so remember, this is somebody with very dry content that wants to go out there and make videos. And so one thing I would say is, to the point that's been brought up a few times about the algorithm, and I put a comment in the chat like, data science people will hold our ears, right? But in reality, I agree 100%. As someone making content who can build these algorithms, I also do not care about the algorithm at all, because people, especially here on Clubhouse and different means, people will try to use sort of intimidation and say the algorithm's doing X, Y, and Z. Be careful, and put out these scare tactics. Well, as somebody who builds this stuff, I will tell you, 9 out of 10 of those people have no idea what they're talking about. And even those of us who build it, unless we're in-house at that company, we also have no idea. So to spin your wheels, I would absolutely say that is a waste of time. So my message here is this, as somebody with dry content, is to have fun. Literally have fun, right? So what I do with my dry content is I would go, and I actually experienced what Dominick had mentioned, if you were here earlier in the discussion, when he said about somebody might say a comment when you put out certain things, music's too loud, XYZ, right? So with my dry content, I like to put like Halloween graphics when it's Halloween, and I put like the Halloween theme music in the background, and I'll have like little things going on when I'm talking about like data science and like dry stuff, right? Just to have fun, because I enjoy it. And I had somebody say, to Dominick's point, the Halloween music's so loud, blah, blah, blah. So what I did was, instead of saying, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore and put my tail behind my legs, I put out a disclaimer saying, hey guys, it's Halloween. I love Halloween, and I'm going to do more of this. So if it's not your cup of tea, maybe you should follow somebody else, kind of thing, without being rude. But I kind of just said, hey, I love this stuff. This is what makes me smile and laugh. And that's what you're going to get from me. So rather than back down, I did more of what I love. So I think some of that gets lost in social media. Some people are just so focused on, we touched on the monetization aspect, that they lose sense of the point of a lot of this is fun. And so I love what Tom said about, you need content before you can monetize, right? You need content that people are really biting on and they really enjoy and follow before you can even think about monetizing. And I love that. And again, I would just say, as I yield the mic, that not all of this has to be rocket science and intense and intimidating. It can literally be fun. And so with that being said, my dry content, I have the most followers on LinkedIn, of course, because my content is typically dry. But I do have some followers on TikTok who do like the Halloween music. So I say just do what you love and have fun with it. And with that, I yield the mic.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks for sharing that. Really appreciate it. And I think you kind of hit on something that brought up kind of a broader issue that I see, right? And that is when we were talking about like, don't worry about what the algorithm wants, right? Like do what is authentic to you, do what you love, do what makes you and your community happy, right? It goes to this sort of broader point or this idea that, I was talking about how we sort of assign a persona to the algorithm as if it's this sort of like living thing, and it changes over time for sure, right? The algorithms that are used, the machine learning algorithms that are used on social media, they're used in a lot of parts of our lives, right? That we encounter on a multiple times a day in all kinds of different places. Some we're aware of, some we're not. Essentially the way they work, and Amanda, you're the expert here, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they are fed data, right? And then they use that data to inform decisions basically that they make. So it's very much like if this, then this, right? So if you like a certain kind of content, they will then feed you more content that is similar to the content you've already liked, right? So if this, then that, right? The key to that is understanding that at the end of the day, we should not be trying to play to what the algorithm wants, because the algorithm only wants to do one thing, right? They're all designed to do it the same thing on all the social media applications. And I've said this in here before, they're all designed to do one thing only, right? And that is to keep us on the platform for as long as possible, because that is how these platforms make money. They keep us on the platform for as long as possible. That enables them to sell advertising space on the platform, and that's how they make their money, right? Because our attention is the commodity that they're selling, right? And so that's what these machine learning algorithms are designed to do. So at the end of the day, just remember that the algorithm doesn't tell you what to do. You tell the algorithm what to do, in very much the same way that we've been sold this bill of goods in our consumer lives, right? That businesses tell us how we should behave, tell us what we should want, tell us what we have to put up with, what we shouldn't expect and what we should expect. Wrong. That's exactly backwards. We tell businesses, right, through using our consumer voices, i.e. our wallets, right? We tell businesses what we will tolerate and what we won't tolerate. We tell businesses what we expect of them, what we want them to do, and what we don't want them to do, right? So remember that as you interact, as you create contact, as you interact on social media platforms, as you come across these machine learning algorithms, and as you interact with businesses on a regular basis. You are in the driver's seat because you are the one who controls your behavior, right? Not the machine learning algorithm, not the businesses that you interact with. You control your behavior, and everybody as an individual controls their own behavior. So remember that we are in the driver's seat, right? Not the algorithm and not the sort of large corporations that we all deal with, right? So create what makes you happy first, right? And ultimately, if other people find value in what you're creating, the algorithm will drive people to it because it just wants to keep people on the platform. It just wants to drive attention because that's how these businesses make money. So you're in the driver's seat, not the algorithm. Don't try to play to the algorithm. Make what makes you happy, right? So I just wanted to throw that. It made me think of it, and I had to get it off my chest, man. I had to unload.
You got to do it, man. Hey, a couple of weeks ago, Tom made the point of looking up different things on your socials, on your Googles, on, wouldn't that be interesting to go and change the algorithm, go and search something that you've never searched before, mountains in Mount Everest, then the next one I'm going to put how to cook the perfect noodle, something that you weren't even thinking about, just to not let the algorithms control you, as Tom's saying. So, all right, we're going to ask a question, drop a tip. We're going to be here for a little bit more, not that long, but ask a question, drop a tip. What do you got? We got Alexandra. What's new, Alexandra? How you been?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. I'm actually sending out the contracts for my cast today. I'm in the middle of doing that. So I've kind of had an ear in the conversation. So if you guys could just catch me up, okay, real quick.
Tom, you're good at that. Go on, my friend. Tom likes to do that.
I don't know if I'm good at doing it real quick. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've sometimes been described as overly verbose. See, I can't even say that I'm long-winded quickly. Anyway, Alexandra, yeah, we're talking about all things sort of content creation, and we've gone, as per usual, we've gone in about 80 different directions. So I would say if you have a question about getting started creating content, or what should be driving your decision making when you create content, that would be a good place to start. Or if you have tips in those areas, that'd be a great place to go from.
I didn't know I have a question. So what I'm getting ready to start an actual I'm doing my audio drama, obviously, because I'm sending out the contracts. But in order to kind of promote it beforehand, and also just to kind of build up an audience, I'm going to do a regular podcast. And so I've been getting conflicting information about what equipment to get for a beginner. I think I've settled on one. I'm kind of getting as many opinions as possible. But as of right now, it looks like I'm going to end up getting the Shure MV7 because it's a dynamic microphone versus condenser, because I do not have a real quiet place to record. I really don't. I wish I did, but I don't. But my question is, I was looking at a camera for my computer because I want to do like a video podcast like you guys do. So I was looking at the Logitech because it's a 1080p HD camera. So in terms of cameras, is that a good one for a beginner, or should I, because it's in my price range. So it's not the money thing. I just want to make sure I'm getting the best for my money.
Tom, Dr. Tachi, you want to answer about the cameras? Cameras, Mike, go on.
I mean, it's a little bit of a Pandora's box, Alexandra. So, there are a million different solutions, and without kind of hijacking the conversation off the rails and going down a rabbit hole, which we don't really have time to do this morning, it's hard to say whether or not a particular Logitech HD camera is the best camera you could possibly be getting for your application. I would say when it comes down to it, the best way to do your research is to find videos on YouTube, right? I'm going to send you down a YouTube rabbit hole. Find videos on YouTube where people have created podcasting and video podcasting and live streaming setups, right? And they will go through and they will outline every single piece of equipment they've bought, how much it costs. A lot of times they'll have affiliate links in the comments, right, or in the video description. They'll take you through exactly what they bought, why they bought it, how it works, whether or not it was the best purchase, all of those kinds of things. Rather than asking people sort of cold, I would say go consume some content from people who have gone down a very similar path or analogous path to the one you're going down, and see what their thoughts are. But yeah, I mean, I could opine for hours on the pros and cons of different kinds of cameras for live streaming and podcasting and all of that good stuff, but it may or may not actually apply to your specific situation. So Yeah, without hijacking the conversation and going down a real narrow niche rabbit hole that I'm sure nobody else wants to listen to, I would say YouTube is your friend, right? Do some YouTube research. There are tons of videos out there on exactly this topic. So I would just go watch as many of them as you can tolerate, and go based on the information you find there. Make an informed choice based on that. That's my best advice. Dr. Tachi, you got anything to add?
Why, yes. First of all, I co-sign on all of that. YouTube University is the way, even if this is what you learned and went to school for, you have to learn about updates. So, like, I'm always there all the time. A good way to start with YouTube as well is if you actually go to some of the manufacturers, Panasonic, Canon, Nikon, they all do events when new cameras are coming out. They do reviews of the cameras that they have. So if you just go to some of these manufacturer sites, they also do that. Also, there's another one, Video Maker is a really great place. Every Wednesday, they actually do a Zoom session, Zoom webinars about different types of things, whether it's live streaming or cameras. If you go to the YouTube site for Video Maker, they have a tremendous wealth of reviews and things that can help. Also, just going to some sales places like Adorama or B&H, if you go to their websites, they also have articles on some of these things. And obviously they're trying to sell things, but it's because they sell so many different types of things, you get some good things. And then of course, looking at reviews and going back to what Tom said, it also depends on what exactly you're trying to do, what your if you're trying to, for example, live stream, your internet connection, if it's poor, it doesn't matter if you have the best camera in the world. So there are a lot of things that factor into that. So yeah, YouTube is definitely going to be your friend.
Awesome.
That's what
Thanks.
everybody always says YouTube University for like everything. So okay then, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks,
Hey,
Alexandra. Thanks.
I just
Dr.
fixed some
Tachi.
I just fixed some plumbing over the weekend using YouTube University. I did a spout. I did a shower head, the thing in the middle, a handle, and then the spout down at the bottom. And when I first put it on, I was taking a shower, and the spout blew off and it almost hit me in the shin. It flew off and it went. I don't know how it didn't hit me in the shin, but. And then my wife was downstairs and she was like, "What was that loud noise?" And then when she was taking a bath, she was all afraid. But I went to YouTube University and I graduated and it did not fall off. Okay, we got Heather and Leslie. We're going to meet Heather and Leslie. But first, it's that time of day today, only for people watching the live stream. I'm going to pull out that is in my office. This is a Jack in the Box, but I think my kid broke it. It was right up above his mini hoop. It's a Kobe Bryant Jack in the Box. Is this not the weirdest thing you've ever seen? A Jack in the Box. Johnny, you're jealous. You don't have a Kobe Bryant Jack in the Box. But I got to fix it because it is creepy when Kobe, he's not even popping out of this thing. I think it was above my kid's mini hoop and he broke it. All right, that's what us live streamers get today. Kobe Bryant Kobe Bryant Jack in the Box. All right, that's it. Okay, Heather.
That thing is super weird. I'm just saying, that thing is super weird.
Come on, look how cool that is.
It is super weird. It is very
I don't
odd.
know where
I
this
feel
came
like
from.
Yeah, and Dr. Tachi's commenting on YouTube that Kobe has no arms, and she's right. He has no arms, and I feel like they should have just not put any arms on it. Like, what is that?
Well, how are they going to fit in the Jack in the Box if you put big long arms on it?
Well, but I'm saying then just don't put arms on it or something. Make it like or something, or just put them down by his side. I don't know. It's really weird. It looks like somebody lopped him off at the elbows.
And see, like the thing, it used to make music when I wound it, but we talked about videos and stuff like that today. I surround myself with, like, in my office and things like that, things that make me smile. So whether it's Yoda sitting back there or, a college jersey or something like that, all day long, I surround myself, whether it's the content I consume or stuff I look at, like this Kobe Bryant here, that makes me smile. So that's what I got for you. This for the live streamers today. I'm going to fix this and make sure that get this bell working for another day. Okay, we're moving on. We are going to talk to Heather and Leslie. Heather first. Drop us a tip or ask a question. What's new, Heather?
Hey, what's going on? I just wanted to say, in regards to like the content creation, you're allowed to stop. I'm just letting everybody know you're allowed to stop. You're allowed to take a break. You're allowed to like step back and live in the real world, like the physical world. And you know, it's springtime and that's a good time for it. So, you know, if you feel burnt out, overwhelmed, like you are allowed to stop and take a break. Nobody is, you know, I mean, they're not even paying for reels right now anyway. So again, you're allowed to stop and take a break and relax in a hammock like I've been doing. Okay, thank you.
Great wisdom. And one of my first mentors in the book business, they said that same thing. They were like, hit it hard when you can hit it hard. But then sometimes you're going to need a break. You're going to need time. You're going to need to regroup. Do those things. Lay on the hammock like Heather does. Do you actually have a hammock?
I do. I have 2 hammocks outside, one for myself, one for my husband. And then I have a hammock actually in my living room, one of those ones that you attach to the ceiling. I love that hammock. It's awesome. Good for winter and good for super hot days in the summer where you can't even like lay outside. So hammocks for life.
I just wanted to say, yes, hammocks, thumbs up. I don't know about for life. I'm not as big a fan as Heather is, although I do love a good somebody falling out of a hammock video or a hammock fail video. In fact, my wife says I have a very specific laugh. She always knows when I'm watching a fail video because I laugh in a particular way when I see a fail video. But that's not why I opened my mic or what I wanted to say. Specifically, what I wanted to say was, to Heather's point about it being okay to take a break, it 100% is okay to take a break. And I will give you a little bit of sort of anecdotal proof that it's okay to take a break. I have not posted on Instagram. I've posted on Instagram once in the last several months. I have posted one picture. It was a picture from my wedding. And that's it. It's the only thing I've posted, I think, on Instagram this year. Okay. I currently have about, not a big number, but about 40 more followers on my Instagram account than I had when I was posting every day. Okay. So like your content, new people will continue to discover your content. It is not new to everyone, but it is new to someone. And it is okay if you need a break to take a break. So don't fall into that trap of feeling obligated to post every single day or to keep on the same schedule in perpetuity. It is okay to take a break, right? And my anecdotal proof is I have more followers on Instagram than I did when I was posting every day, and I've posted once in the last 3 months. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Tom. And Kobe likes what you had to say. Kobe, the Jack in the Box, Kobe is shaking his head yes on the live stream as Tom talks. There you go. Okay. We're going to meet my friend Leslie. I had a brilliant phone call with her. She was brilliant, and I was listening yesterday. So Leslie, how you doing? We're looking for tips or a question on sharing your story on all this. What do you got for us?
Wow. Well, first of all, yeah, I love the fact that we all need downtime. There are times that I'm just burning out on both ends of the candlestick with family, for them not understanding the power of Clubhouse, all the connections that I'm making, hustling at 10 o'clock at night with people on the West Coast. I'm on East Coast. And it's these amazing people and Dominick who reached out to me, and just don't ever give up. If you have a passion, go for it. Right now, I'm taking some downtime. I'm literally on my horse trail riding in Pennsylvania, which is just a beautiful day here on the East Coast. But don't ever be afraid. Also, reach out to our tribe of people, your people on Clubhouse, because we're all on this boat together, trying to navigate, figuring this out. Most of my friends really don't understand podcasting. And I knew I had the tools 25 years ago, being in corporate, public speaking, and taking that to 4 years of going back to school for functional medicine and really being passionate about it. And unbeknownst to me, 2 years ago, I started going on the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. The CEO and founder had a room here, and we just started talking, and we hit it off, and we built a relationship offline. Unbeknownst to me, this woman is not only so grounded, but she was so gracious that she was a guest on my podcast, and I just promoted her yesterday, and I'm meeting so many cool people. So just remember, it's like a domino effect. Don't give up. You know, we all have a set of goulions, as we say in Italian. Sorry, my mother's all Italian. So if you don't know what it is, you'll understand when I say, just keep on going and stick to your passion, and things will start trickling and happening when you really work at it. And it takes time. So just don't give up. Thanks.
Love it, Leslie. Thank you. And that's sticking to the passion thing, that the 1 view, the 5 views, the meeting people. If you're following the passion, you're enjoying the whole journey, the ride. It's all fun. I mean, there's days that are down, days that you didn't get the results, but overall you're like, I'm living the dream. This is exactly what I wanted. I'm hoping my message is out there. People are smiling. People are learning about products or watching, following. You're making an impact. So stay the course. All right, let's see. Me and my Jack in the Box Kobe have nothing more to add. Swifty, Dr. Tachi, Joyce, Amanda, Heather, Leslie, thank you for being here. We appreciate everybody that hung out. Now it's that time of day where Tom takes us home. What do you got for us, Tom?
So I wanted to share a quick little story of discovery that I recently had, right? And I mentioned this before we got on this morning, and I share it with a very specific purpose, because I think it's an experience that can be translated and used by a lot of other people to help inform how they think about what they create, right? The content they create in kind of all different forms, whether it's video or written or whatever the case may be. So here's the story. So the other day I was out for a run, and as often happens, my mind was wandering all over the place. And I was specifically thinking about my book. Right now I have a book coming out in September called Legendeering. It's all about my video content strategy. It's sort of 2/3 theory, right? So helping you understand the undergirding philosophy behind Legendeering and how and why it works. And then the last third of the book is kind of how to operationalize that theory for a business in order to grow community around your brand, right? So the book was very much written for business owners, decision makers in businesses, entrepreneurs, right? Those kinds of people, founders, etc. But what I realized as I was thinking about this book, because I'm thinking about, I was thinking about writing an email to try to get onto a podcast, right? As I'm creeping up on the launch of this book, it's one of the things I'm thinking about is marketing it, obviously. And as I was thinking about it, I came to a realization, and the realization was kind of what I talked about before with thinking about how we're really in the driver's seat when it comes to our interaction with algorithms and our interaction with businesses. And that is that this book can not only serve as an informational blueprint and guide for business owners, but it can also serve as an informational blueprint and guide for consumers to show them what we should expect from the communications we receive from businesses, right? And it was a whole new way of thinking about this book. I'd gone through the entire process of writing a freaking book, and it had never occurred to me in this year-long process that actually this work was just as applicable to consumers as it was to businesses. And so I want to encourage everyone as you leave here today, as you look at your own businesses, your own brands, the content you create, right? Or the advice you give to others around content creation. I want you to think about unexpected ways that content can have an impact beyond the initial intention, right? Because I think often we overlook, and I know I was completely overlooking the opportunity that this book has to impact not just the way businesses communicate with consumers, but the way consumers demand businesses communicate with them, right? And I completely overlooked that component. And I think it is a massive opportunity to grow the impact that this book has. And the end goal of all of that is to humanize the world of business, to shift business relationships between businesses and consumers so that they are all built around exchanges of value, just like the interpersonal relationships we all have in our daily lives, right? And I completely overlooked it. So going forward, I'm always going to be looking now for those unintended consequences, those unexpected ways to maximize and grow the impact of the work that I'm involved in. And I would encourage everyone here to do the same. Always look for unexpected ways to grow the impact of the work that you have. It may start with a narrow focus, but trust me, if there is one way that you can create impact, there are two ways. So just want to leave everybody with that. If there's one way you're creating impact, there are two ways you're creating impact. You just have to look for the second. So that's all I got for today. Really appreciate everybody being here. I still think that Kobe pop-up Jack in the Box is weird, and they should have just not given him those stubby arms. I don't know what they were thinking. That seems like a decision made in a boardroom without actually laying eyes on the prototype. I don't get it. Anyway, that you got to go to the live stream to check that out. So anyway, that's all I got. Thank you all for being here. As always, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate what you bring to the table. We wouldn't be doing this live stream every week if it wasn't for you. One of these days, I will get off the couch and actually turn this into a podcast like we've talked about, and you'll be able to get the episodes there as well. But in the meantime, we will see you back here live again next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Until then, I'm Tom for Tom and Dom, and we are not the smartest guys in the room. Love you guys. Thanks so much. See you soon. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.